And now, Knock 2 Studios presents Common Censored.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Common Censored. Thanks for being here, all of you censored commoners out there. I'm Lord Sterling, and this is episode 303. I see Ed Hoskins in the house with a bunch of jumping bananas over there. What's up, Ed? I love you, buddy. We got to give Ed props, otherwise he's gets mad for the rest of the show. Just joking. Oh, so we got Biden pardons skyrocketing past 8,000 at this point, more than double the previous record that I think was Truman. We'll get into that in a bit. Court documents now showing George Floyd was alive when he arrived at the hospital. So Derek Chauvin seemingly has been in prison for a murder that he did not commit. That's pretty crazy. We also have a story about Russia curing cancer, but it also has to do with mRNA, so a little bit sketchy. We also have a state of emergency declared in California over a severe bird flu. Stay over there in your jungle gym, Loki. Don't you dare infect me. Make sure to join us Monday through Friday, 6:45 p.m.-ish Eastern Time, as we cover all the crazy clown world clusterfuck chaos that is 2024. Use hashtag Common Censored and hashtag Info Infantry when you share the show. I don't know. No more hashtags on X, but use them everywhere else. You can find us on X at Lord Sterling _. We're also on Truth, Getter, Gab, Minds. Thank you to all of our new followers over on Rumble. Appreciate you guys. Links to all the stories we cover today will be posted down in the video description, along with timestamps courtesy of Mama Mac. So if you're watching the show later and you need to maximize the efficiency of your time, focus, attention, energy, click on down there in the show description, skim through the topics we cover, and jump right to the point in the video where we talk about the things you want to hear. Thanks, Mama Mac. Appreciate you. You guys can throw Mama Mac some love, too, over at alplama.com, ALPLAMA.com, your new herbal health guru. So you can avoid the petrochemical pharmaceutical industry that wants us sick and dependent, and check out some natural tinctures to remedy your ailments. You can also support the show directly at our link tree at Common Censored, where you can find our affiliate links, our merch, our gag books, and everything like that. Ways to donate and subscribe to the broadcast. Appreciate you. Thanks for supporting us in advance. Disclaimer. Views expressed on Common Censored are only opinions. Assume everything we say is false and research for yourself. We're not giving medical, legal, or financial advice. The only advice we are giving is think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Boom! All right, let's jump into the news, guys. Let's start off with the California situation over here, as Governor Gavin Spewsum Newscomb, as Trump likes to say, declares a state of emergency after the first severe human bird flu case hits the U.S. In a move reminiscent of his overreaching COVID-19 policies, California Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a state of emergency in response to the recent bird flu outbreak. This decision follows the confirmation of the first severe human case in the United States, a patient in Louisiana hospitalized with critical respiratory illness. So it's not even a case in his own state. He's declaring an emergency in California. They're just trying to scare everybody. Aliens, diseases, nuclear stuff. They're just trying to freak everybody out. What is it all leading up to? That's what I want to know. Quote, the patient is experiencing a severe respiratory illness related to H5N1 infection. and is currently hospitalized in critical condition, said Emma Herrick, a spokeswoman for the Louisiana Department of Health. While an investigation into the source of this infection in Louisiana is ongoing, I'd look into the government personally. It is believed that the patient was reported by Louisiana had exposure to cicardid birds on their property, said Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis. What a name. Director of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases. So I would look at the government, see what they're doing, see where they're working on bird flu gain of function, because it's happening somewhere, allegedly in Minecraft, of course. So just insane, man. Just insane. Governor Newsom's declaration grants him sweeping powers. I'm sure that wasn't the goal. To impose restrictions and allocate resources without legislative oversight. Sounds like a dictator to me. Emphasis on the dick part. This proclamation is targeted action to ensure government agencies have the resources and flexibility they need to respond quickly to this outbreak. Resources? Aren't you guys like bazillions of dollars in debt in California? Don't pretend like you have resources. Building on California's testing and monitoring system, the largest in the nation, we're committed to further protecting public health, supporting our agriculture industry, and ensuring that Californians have access to accurate, up-to-date information. While the risk to the public remains low, we will continue to take all emergency steps to to prevent the spread of this virus. So wait, the risk to the public remains low, but you're declaring a state of emergency? So which is it? Is it an emergency or is the risk to the public low? Like you say here, these people, man, freaking cannot stand these people. According to the press release, Governor Gavin Newsom today proclaimed a state of emergency to streamline and expedite the state's response to avian influenza A, H5N1, commonly known as the bird flu. This action comes as cases were detected in dairy cows on farms in Southern California, signaling the need to further expand monitoring and build on the coordinated statewide approach to contain and mitigate the spread of the virus. The virus has spread in 16 states among dairy cattle following its first confirmed detection in Texas and Kansas in March 2024. So in spreading in dairy cattle, that's the common factor here. Are these cattle being given some kind of injection for regular vaccine maintenance or something that might be spreading this? It just seems kind of odd that it's appearing in 16 different states, specifically among dairy cattle. I'm sure it's just totally normal though, guys. So don't worry about that. To date, no person-to-person spread of bird flu has been detected in California, and nearly all infected individuals had exposure to infected cattle. California has already established the largest testing and monitoring system in the nation to respond to the outbreak. This emergency proclamation will provide state and local agencies with additional flexibility around staffing, contracting, and other rules to support California's evolving response. California sucks. Get out of California if you can. You do not want to be there. Critics argue that this approach mirrors his previous handling of the COOF, where extended lockdowns and mandates led to significant economic and social repercussions for Californians. Here's the declaration with a bunch of whereases. All these justifications, all of these, for this reason, and this stupid reason, and this bullshit reason, we need to take emergency powers so we can dominate you. Ha 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 ha. That's what my summary pretty much would be of this whole thing. Total garbage, as usual. One case, not even in your state, and you're declaring an emergency, and get real. What is wrong with these people, man? They got an itchy trigger finger for tyranny, bro. Next, let's hop over to the Illinois. No, where did this take place? Minnesota. Isabella Maria DeLuca posted this one at Isabella M. DeLuca. Court documents reveal that George Floyd was alive when he arrived at the hospital to get his ante-mortem blood samples collected. Ante-mortem before death. So they collected blood samples at the hospital, specifically blood samples that were ante-mortem blood samples, meaning he was still alive. At the hospital, Derek Chauvin has now spent over 2 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. How did a DA and a judge allow this to proceed? The autopsy report shows that ante-mortem blood was collected by HHC on 5/25/20. So, like, this is insane, dude. We need to get Derek Chauvin out of jail immediately. Not only was he still alive at the hospital, but as you'll see here, he also had some kind of heart tumor. Jack Posobiec posting this: breaking, a federal judge has ruled a federal judge has ruled for Derek Chauvin and ordered that George Floyd's heart tumor must be tested to determine if it played a role in his death. The information about the heart tumor was not presented to Chauvin in the trial. Seems to me like that would be a Brady rule violation, potentially exculpatory evidence not provided to the defense during the trial. This whole thing needs to be thrown out with prejudice immediately, in my
certainly the very first legal win for Derek Chauvin. We've been reporting all of it over here at Alpha News, but this is a federal judge who has finally come back approving this motion that has been in the works for months to examine heart tissue in George Floyd and also some fluids from George Floyd's body as well. And basically, this is related to what's called a paraganglioma. This was discussed in the fall of Minneapolis. Some doctors came forward during Derek Chauvin's case to say, why wasn't this tumor tested in George Floyd? In many cases, it can lead to sudden cardiac death. They brought this information forward. His attorney at the time did not act upon this information according to court documents. And also the Judge Peter Cahill, ignored it as well. So in this motion, the judge has now said that this testing can take place. What really, does this tumor have anything to do with his death? A lot of people are also picking up on the fact that George Floyd was not pronounced dead until about 9:30 that night. That's about an hour after this incident took place, something that we brought out in the documentary as well. So it's interesting that I think people are willing to have these conversations now, to look at this evidence, which is really in black and white and has been since day one, which we compiled for the book, They're Lying, and for the documentary, The Fall of Minneapolis. So this really is the very first legal win for Derek Chauvin. We've also done some reporting about a state appeal as well that is similar, the fact that these medical records were ignored.
Insane. So I didn't know that. T. McGroin says that this is some old info. I was not aware that he was alive when he arrived at the hospital. Kind of like how the dude that got strangled by Daniel Penny down in the subway was still alive when the paramedics arrived. Kind of similar to that. And Andy had a heart tumor. Plus, he had an over-lethal dose of fentanyl and other drugs in his system. Like, come on, dude. Get this guy out of jail now. This is outrageous in my humble, not so humble, opinion. Let's jump over to our next story. We talked about the missing radioactive material in New Jersey. Apparently, New Jersey police had issued a statement about it. And here's some more information.
There is growing concern and a demand for answers about the mysterious drones hovering over the tri-state area. In New Jersey, the flying objects have been spotted over residential neighborhoods, restricted sites, even near...
Exactly, Donna. You can strangle them, but not to death if they're still alive, for sure.
President-elect Donald Trump's home and critical infrastructure.
Belleville Mayor Michael Mellum says the drone sightings are creating anxiety in his town, and he's looking for answers. And he joins us this morning right here on Good Day New York. Thank you for joining us, Mayor. President-elect Trump says that the Biden administration knows what's going on. Our government knows what's going on. You're the mayor of Bellevue. What do you know?
We know very little. About 6 days ago, there was an unprecedented briefing with every single mayor in the state of New Jersey, along with every member of our state legislature. We learned exactly at that time what the state knows, which was very little. Since then, information has not been forthcoming. And it's this lack of transparency, in my opinion, that's doing nothing but fueling conspiracy theories online.
Do you have any idea what it could be? Or which side it could be, where it's coming from?
Yeah, I can tell you what it's not. We know for a fact it's not little green men, and more than likely it's not a foreign adversary, because they would be able to figure out how to turn off the blinking lights. These drones are huge. We had a mayor yesterday on the call with the White House telling them that he had 6-foot drones hovering over his house, yet they continue to tell us we don't know what we're talking about. It's misidentification. Certainly there's some misidentification probably going on, but I could assure you that we are seeing drones in New Jersey all over the place.
All right, so Bethany Frankel, I know she's not like, you know, the New York Times, but she says that she has like some kind of contact at the Pentagon and that it has something to do with radioactive material in New Jersey. What are you hearing?
So here's what I know. I know that we were told by our state police that we have assets over our critical infrastructure. Now, depending on your point of view, that's either concerning or comforting. I think it's comforting because it's probably us listening and watching. We also know that we have drones that are flying in a grid-like pattern. In my opinion, they're looking for something. What might they be looking for? Well, potentially, we're aware of a threat that came in through Port Newark. Maybe that's radioactive material. There was and there is an alert that's out right now that radioactive material in New Jersey has gone missing on December 2nd. It was a shipment. It arrived at its destination. The container was damaged and it was empty. So potentially we're looking for that.
Stop right there, Mayor, because that's very important information. And that came from a credible source.
That came from the U.S. government.
And so it's missing?
Missing.
And they think it's in New Jersey, or it could be anywhere?
It was lost in New Jersey, in transit. And again, this is just an example of what I think that we're sniffing for. I think we do have the assets that can go up and fly around and sniff things, which is why we're not seeing the uptick we used to see in Belleville anymore. It's kind of moving, but we're seeing alerts that it's happening now in Pennsylvania.
And that's right about the time that the drone sightings began, right?
Yeah, drone sightings began about 4 weeks ago.
Okay, so when you take a look at this, if this information is indeed credible, why wouldn't the government say, it's us?
That's the crazy part about this. We've gotten very little information. Even yesterday on that
they
call
never tell
with
us
the White
anything.
House, literally mayors were told, you guys are seeing things. There's no credibility to this. We had one mayor, like I said, had drones over his house. I mean, we're no longer going to stand for not hearing the truth. I mean, our state government is failing us. They're not getting the answers from the federal government. And even though yesterday they told us that there's nothing to see here, today there's a top secret briefing going on in Congress. Well, what are they being told that we weren't told yesterday?
Real quick, did you know yesterday when you were on that call about this missing radioactive activity or merchandise, or did you know that this morning after the call?
I was made aware of it yesterday morning. I did raise my hand. We weren't allowed to speak. I did raise my hand, was not called on to get that question answered.
So apparently it is concerning. Even the president-elect, who I'm sure gets some kind of briefings on things, he says he's not going to his home in Bedminster, right?
Yeah, I listened to him yesterday.
Interesting.
He no doubt
Tri-Stater saw a report that it was a medical container. Very
It's
interesting.
the same exact briefings that President Biden gets. He says our government knows. He says our president knows. And he also ended with saying, I'm not going to be in New Jersey this weekend.
So what do you want to know? What do you want the government to tell you and the general public?
I want them to be clear with us. I want transparency. I want them to say these are our assets. There's no need to concern about what's flying. The question should no longer be who's flying these drones or who owns them. It should be what they're looking for. Tell us they're ours. Tell us that they're protecting us, and tell us what the threat is.
Okay, we're coming up on the holidays. Is everybody going to be safe?
I hope so.
What do you want people to do if they see them?
That's a great question. So we've been told
assuring.
that pilots out of Newark Airport are getting hit with lasers. You cannot take the law in your own hands. We do not want you shooting at them. It is a federal offense to shoot on an aircraft. Drones are considered aircraft. And please do not try and hit them with lasers. Our pilots are being distracted.
So you think they're American, they're our government, and they're looking for something that went missing that could be very dangerous?
Absolutely.
All right, Mayor, you got to keep us in the loop here because
Absolutely.
we haven't heard any of this stuff in New York.
Absolutely.
This is good,
Well,
credible
good information.
stuff. It's
There needs to just be lawsuits out the wazoo against the U.S. government for keeping everything a secret. This and everything else that they like, just outrageous.
good, credible information.
And it's all verified and comes based, everything that I based my opinions on come from my briefings that I've gotten.
Your briefings by the government. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for keeping us
Yeah, that's
informed
right,
and giving
Mama
us that
Mac.
information.
We did cover an analysis of that, saying that it could like barely hurt a person. So the amount of resources that they're putting into it seems a little disproportionate. Seems like there's something additional happening here, in my opinion. So thanks to Silence Dogood, the lady, back from the dead, for sending that one. And Silence Dogood also sent this one. House Foreign Affairs chair saying these are enemy drones, likely from China. I'm calling bullshit.
Congress is going to pursue this. I know the House Intelligence
China with their FAA standard red and green
Committee
lights.
is having a hearing on this. We need to identify who is behind these drones. My judgment,
What up, Dirk?
based on my experience, is that
Intel.
those that are over our military sites are adversarial and most likely are coming from the People's Republic of China.
Do you think you'll be satisfied with what you hear today?
Probably not. I think they're going to say they don't know. And that's a concern in and of itself, that if we have drones flying around military bases and we can't identify where they came from or who's responsible for them. I know there are a lot of commercial drones out there, and Secretary Mayorkas has talked about this. That's fine. But the ones flying over our military bases, by definition, I would say are adversarial. We need to know who is behind that because I believe they're spy drones. And the PRC, Chinese, Communist China, is very good at this stuff. And we know they bought land around military bases. This would be very consistent with their policy over the last couple of years.
The fact that the people are being kept in the dark, that the Congress is being kept in the dark, this is criminal, in my opinion. People need to be held accountable for this unconstitutional secrecy. We pay your funding. We pay your salaries. We, the people, are the bosses. They think it's the government and the people working for the government. It's the opposite. You need to give us this information. And if not, you guys need to be held accountable. How about this one? This was awesome. This lady destroys Justin Trudeau to his face. Canadian Prime Minister's resignation is imminent as the public completely turns against the WEF puppet. Take a look at this video. This is nuts.
And so it's important that we understand and analyze this imminent resignation from Justin Trudeau because it's indicative of a zeitgeist, a spirit of the times that's propagating across the entire planet. Let's run clip number B. It says here, Kyle Becker reported, if you want to know why Justin Trudeau is on the verge of resigning as Canada's prime minister, this woman says it all in just 22 seconds.
You've sold us out to globalism.
Okay.
You are not working for Canada. You are working for your globalist partners. I wonder how much they're paying you to betray Canada. What do we do with traitors in Canada, Mr. Trudeau? We used to hang them for treason. And you're doing that very same thing to us now.
Okay. And we've got another voice who confronted Justin Trudeau. This is Right Blend, at Right Blend on X. I confronted Justin Trudeau.
We saw that one yesterday, but we used to hang them for treason. You're working for the globalists. Oh, man. And I think we played this one, right?
What gives you the right to continue? What gives you the right to stay in office? You failed Canada. You've ruined our country. You're done. Walk away. You don't have an ounce of your father's integrity. At least he walked in the snow. You've ruined this country. Everyone around you is running from you. They're abandoning you. Chrystia Freeland, Sean Fraser, they've all left you. It's time for you to go. It's time for Canada to have an election. You're not the king.
Love it. That lady, though.
B, it says here,
So
Kyle
good.
Becker reported, if you want to know why Justin Trudeau is on...
Sold us out to globalism.
Okay. 2 seconds.
You've sold us out to globalism.
Okay.
You are not working for Canada. You are working for your globalist partners. I wonder how much they're paying you to betray Canada. What do we do with traitors in Canada, Mr. Trudeau? We used to hang them for treason.
That's right. We string them up. Oh, man. We need to bring back that type of energy. Tell him we used to hang traitors right to his face. That's such a based video. Who's that chick? She needs an award. We need a statue of her in the statue garden. In other news, there has been an allegation posted on X that Tim Pool has reportedly sold his entire Timcast operation to the the Israeli, the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro, active January 1st. Sources have told Media Right News. One source told Media Right News that a Daily Wire employee has been questioning Timcast employees to determine whether they will be terminated. While a second said it's unclear which employees will retain their positions. Sources spoke on condition of anonymity due to concern of legal reprisals. It is also understood Poole is moving to Nashville, allegedly, of course, and any employee retained will need to relocate, even after many were required to move to West Virginia to begin their employment. Poole recently commented on the Daily Wire's split with Brett Cooper without disclosing his alleged deal to the Daily Wire. Quote, "It all seems just like obvious contract stuff to me." Oh, sorry, that's more of a Ben Shapiro impression. Wrote Poole of the decision between Daily Wire and Cooper to part ways. "I assume Brett wanted more money. Daily Wire didn't want to pay more." Yeah, that's what seems right. It seems likely too. I don't know. We didn't cover that, but yeah, Brett Cooper was getting more traffic to her show than Ben Shapiro or anybody else on the Daily Wire, and she just quit. She probably tried to renegotiate her contract, and the Daily Wire has notoriously shitty contracts. Remember, they can, they sign up, we'll pump them, and they'll essentially be slave labor for a few years, paraphrasing what Jeremy Boring said. But this is pretty wild, Poole has allegedly already had the Daily Wire as a silent majority partner in Timcast for months. This news follows Poole's confirmation following the federal indictments alleging Tenet Media was funded and directed by Russian nationals, that he will cooperate with the FBI. So that's pretty interesting. I saw that the Quartering, I think, was disputing this, but now it's kind of trending on on X, hilariously. Tim Poole sits down to explain how he sold out his audience to the Daily Wire. Oh my God. And Orthodox style over here, people were saying, is he going to have to start wearing a yarmulke? He's going to trade in the beanie for a yarmulke? And I was like, no. He wouldn't do that. He would reveal his baldness if he took off the beanie. So he's not going to do that. Maybe he'll wear the yarmulke on top of the beanie. But then somebody pointed out they'll probably wear it underneath, and that seems more plausible as well. When Michael Robinson says, when Tim Poole and I had dinner a couple years ago, he was already talking to the Daily Wire. He asked me if this dude could work for Jeremy and Ben. Easy answer, no. They'd remove this individual because they wouldn't have a sensible human who's also gay on their payroll, according to Michael Robinson. Jake Shit's Tim Poole now works for the Daily Wire. I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but it's hilarious in any case. Do not like the Daily Wire. Do not like fence-sitting Tim Poole, refuses to discuss anything about the stolen election in 2020, and says we shouldn't even talk about it. So, not cool. Tim Poole, enjoy Daily Wire losers if you're going to join them. How about this? Chris Pavlovsky, founder of Rumble, or CEO of Rumble, posted this. How is this not breaking news everywhere? Is it fake? Russia found a cure to cancer. What? Source, Daily Mail. Russia says it's developed a cancer vaccine and will launch it for free. Russia's health ministry claims it has developed a vaccine against cancer that will be rolled out to patients for free. Andrei Kaprin, who heads the Radiology Medical Research Center at the Ministry of Health, said the shot will launch in early 2025, according to state-run media. Vaccine will apparently be used to treat cancer patients rather than being given to the general public to prevent tumors from forming in the first place. And who was it? Billdozer was pointing out that apparently it's an mRNA vaccine, so that makes me immediately a little bit nervous about this. And why do we need it anyway when we have bendazole and we can just get rid of all the pesticides and GMOs and horrible stuff that are creating acidic blood that's creating a great environment for cancer to live in? We got the antiparasitics and stuff like that apparently, allegedly, of course, are just destroying cancer when given the opportunity. So yeah, how about we do that? We don't need mRNA jabs, intravenous genetic modification intervention to get rid of cancer. Let's just stop the conditions that create cancer in the first place. Oh, look at this. If Trump were to cure cancer, Trump cures cancer. Curing cancer is racist. We have the right to die from our cancer. That would be the media's reaction if this were to happen. So that's pretty hilarious. Let's see. We have this story. I don't know if we can really talk about this on YouTube, but I'll try to read it in code a little bit. Translation. Jones says the experimental jib-jab supposed anti-coof treatment apparently gives you the coof. Reposting Retsef Levi. The abstract of this new published study by the US CDC isn't honest. Read the results. Babies and children 6 months to 4 years who received this one particular injection were allegedly 3.57 times more likely to develop the virus. Prior infection provides strong and long-term protection, allegedly. For the longest time, the CDC denied the basic concept of natural immunity and still recommends ineffective and dangerous jabs to tiny babies and young children with zero risk of catching it. Apparently, this study shows that the intervention actually makes you more likely to contract the illness, 3.57 times more likely with this one particular treatment over here. Link will be in the description if you guys want to watch or you want the full study and everything. Next, let's jump over to Fleckus Talk and get into this Joe Biden pardoning situation. We'll hop over to 8 minutes, 11 seconds ish here and check out this crazy.
No one wants us in it anymore. It's crazy. All right, let's get to the story of the day. Biden's pardons getting out of hand.
That's right, Dirk.
We have a list here of all the other presidential pardons number-wise, and look how his compares to others.
Yeah, JFK, 575, Lyndon B. Johnson, 1,100, Richard Nixon, just under 1,000, Gerald Ford, 400. Everyone's in that range, 400, 500. George H.W. Bush, 77.
Light.
That's a Grinch. That's feeling Grinchy. No, stay in jail. Obama had close to 2,000. He's the next highest on this list. Donald Trump, 237. That number's about to go up.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Biden, 8,062, and he still has 36 days left.
8,000. Thousands and thousands of pardons.
Yeah, he 4x'd the next highest, which was Obama.
At least that's what they say, but I have evidence we'll get to in a second that he only 2x'd it.
4x the next highest. And then when you go
Next
through
highest
the
on that
people and what
list.
they did, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If you look at it normally, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But when you think
He's
about Joe
pardoning
Biden and the
weirdos,
crime
man.
family, it makes more sense. Can you read some of these examples?
Yeah, Biden granted clemency to Rita Crundwell. She embezzled over $53
Crundwell, not a flattering last name, just saying.
million from the city of Dixon, Illinois for over 22 years in what the Department of Justice described as the largest theft of public funds in state history. Clemency for her.
She's good to go.
Yeah. Jacqueline Mills stole millions of dollars from a taxpayer-funded
That's good,
USDA
Mama
program to feed poor children in Arkansas. Joe Biden just granted her clemency.
Mama Mac says that apparently or supposedly around 6,500 of the pardons were for marijuana crimes. So I can get behind that. They don't have any authority to make that stuff illegal in the first place. They needed an amendment to make alcohol illegal, and then they retracted that amendment, the 18th Amendment, with the 21st Amendment. And then they never passed another amendment to try to regulate and illegalize substances. It's all blatantly illegal. So everybody on, marijuana doing time for some weed should be pardoned 150%.
Congrats.
He commuted the prison sentence of Mira Sachdeva, a cancer doctor who diluted chemo drugs to patients as part of an $8 million Medicare fraud. Also reused old needles, leading to a lawsuit by a patient who claimed he contracted HIV.
She's good to go.
So picking on the people with cancer, just diluting their treatment a little bit and then stealing public funds so far.
And people who give people AIDS.
Yeah. And then here's another headline. Victim shocked after Biden grants clemency to Kids for Cash judge and $54 million embezzler. If you don't remember that story, that was a former Pennsylvania judge. He He was convicted in 2011 in what was called Kids for Cash scandal.
Exactly,
Where he
Donna.
basically took kickbacks from for-profit detention centers in exchange for wrongly sending juveniles to their facilities. It was like
That's insane. Back at you, Bulldozer. How's your mom doing?
really young kids on very petty crimes, and he'd just be like, yeah, that's a year. And it was getting cash envelopes on the side. So, like, people who are criminals who are pretty irredeemable, right?
Yeah, a lot of those things, they weren't like, oh, marijuana is a little different now.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy had a joint,
Yeah,
you know, whatever they say.
Public perception hasn't changed on imprisoning children wrongfully, right? Like, crazy.
Maybe we could use some more children imprisonment with how things have gone.
Yeah. And then I do want to say that some of these people, like, it wasn't necessarily hard time life in prison. A lot of these people, because it's a volume play, he did 8,000, over 8,000, obviously. And some of them had kind of middling sentences, like that Cash for Kids judge. He was on house arrest, who had been since released during COVID. So he was just on house arrest. And he was on house arrest through 2026. So it's not like he had that much left.
You're not saving him from much.
So why do it, right?
I don't even think Joe Biden knows what day it is, what time it is, what he had for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's one of those things where why would you do it? Because the guy's going to be off in a little bit anyway. And then so you rephrase it again. So why would you do it?
Yeah.
You know?
I think his staffers just go like this, and then he just sign this one too.
Yeah.
And then this one
Yeah.
too. And he just goes.
He has no idea what he's doing.
Busy day at the office.
Yeah, it's kind of like the fat old lady here making her grandma vote for Kamala Harris.
Keep the pen in your hand.
Get the pen in your hand.
It's right here.
This is Joe Biden commuting prisoners' sentences. And then so 8,000, it's just like who are his staffers' personal friends? Who do they owe favors to? Who are they like trying to get a leg up with for their transition to not having a job anymore?
You get a pardon.
So, I mean,
and you
it
get
raises
a pardon.
questions. It's a lot of scumbag people, and I don't know. This guy, Joe Biden, doesn't fucking care.
Yeah, does not.
Doesn't care. So we have another post over here about some of the numbers. Where is it? Oh, I forgot to pull it up. Here we go. The Patriot Hammer at Patriot_Hammer posted this one. You should not be surprised that leftists have the most friends who are criminals. Woody, FDR, Truman, Obama, and Biden are the top 5 in granting pardons, and it's apparently Truman over here. Nope. FDR makes sense. FDR, who had close to 4,000 pardons, supposedly, and Joe Biden doubling that with over 8,000. And FDR was the worst commie, scumbag piece of garbage we ever had as a president. So what does that say about Joe Biden? But if those are mostly cannabis stuff, then I can get behind that fully. So we won't judge it fully just on the number, on the statistic without all the details. But if Mama Mac is right, then yeah, pardon the people who have, only been problems with marijuana. Okay. Let's jump over next to Next News with Gary Franchi. This episode focuses largely on RFK Jr.'s first move against Big Pharma as he goes to Washington and starts having meetings with senators and stuff about what they're going to be doing with the MAHA agenda. But towards the start here, I thought was a pretty good little segment about George Sloppotamus, as Greg Foreman calls him, or George Snuffleupagus.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you're witnessing is the assembly of the most powerful anti-establishment strike force in American history. Trump's appointment of RFK Jr. as HHS secretary isn't just a nomination, it's a declaration of war on Big Pharma's empire. Kennedy's Capitol Hill meetings, they're sending shockwaves through the pharmaceutical industrial complex. Meanwhile, billionaire Mark Andreessen joins the DOJ task force as an unpaid volunteer, promising a top-to-bottom audit of every government regulation. The deep state isn't just nervous, they are terrified, and for the first time, outsiders with real power are about to expose decades of corruption. And while Trump's team turns up the heat on the deep state, you can stay warm without breaking the bank. This revolutionary portable heater is exactly what you need for those long warmth while it's freezing and free. Now, so the swamp, RFK Jr. on Capitol Hill storming the swamp. But something equally as shocking just happened. You heard about this, right? It was George Stephanopoulos. Uh-oh, something went wrong. What happened, George? Well, I guess George decided that he was going to leave X. Yeah, couldn't take the heat. Mario Noval. Now, this happened a couple days ago. George Stephanopoulos deletes his X account after defamation lawsuit loss. He deleted his X account after losing a high-profile defamation lawsuit against Trump. The case ended in Trump's favor, leaving Stephanopoulos silent on the platform. Oh, it's bad. It's really bad. Now, I want to bring this also to your attention. Sarah Reese Jones posted this. I don't even really know who she is. I guess, okay, she's a White House political analyst for Politicus USA Media Requests, and she loves democracy and her dog. Okay, so this is Sarah Reese Jones. Okay, I'm not entirely familiar with her work, but this post that she made really caught my attention.
51st State.
She says, ABC's decision will have a chilling effect on what's reported about Trump and his administration over the next 4 years. It would be foolish to pretend that this lawsuit settlement won't have consequences for informing the American people. Yeah, a chilling effect, she says, this lawsuit. Well, here's my response to Sarah Reese Jones. If there was ever a bad take, it's this post right here. The only effect that this lawsuit will have is forcing lunatics and liars like Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, and all the other media whores who've been deceiving the American people to
media whores, a.k.a. prostitutes.
Stop and actually think before they open their filthy pie holes on camera ever again.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only chilling effect this is going to have is the chilling effect on the media coming out and defaming the president, you know. And now the blood is in the water. So hopefully we'll see a lot more of this. And I think we are, actually. There's a bunch of new lawsuits that are in the works as well.
Yes. So this lawsuit is huge. This is a big freaking deal. Because how long have we been deconstructing and pushing back on all of the lies? You've seen all the clips I've
How long
played
has
of
the media
Joy Reid
existed?
over and over again.
That long.
You know I can't stand her.
Joyless
I mean, how
Reid.
many more legal notes does The View have to present? Because they run their mouths. Well, now it's game over. Western Lensman posted this 5 hours ago. A glum Jake Tapper is upset about the Trump $15 million settlement in lawsuit against ABC and his suing other media outlets. He calls it wildly ridiculous. Today, Trump mentioned the Des Moines Register, 60 Minutes, Bob Woodward, and Russiagate reporters. Legacy media is finally starting to be held accountable, and that makes Jake Tapper nervous.
Jake
Tapper is
Tapeworm.
also involved in a lawsuit brought against CNN by a Navy veteran whom Tapper smeared with false claims about the veteran's work extracting people from Afghanistan. Yeah, Jake Tapper
Billion
is at the center
lawsuit.
of a $1 billion lawsuit against CNN. And he should probably think twice before making remarks like this.
I should note, Kristen, I don't want to overstate Trump's friendliness and genial attitude at this press conference, because this weekend ABC News agreed to pay $16 million, including legal fees, to settle a defamation lawsuit brought by Trump against the network and their anchor, George Stephanopoulos. And that obviously will not be the end of this campaign against the media, legal campaign against the media.
It's not a campaign against the media. It's legal action against defamation and crimes, okay? Let's be clear.
We heard him go after many other news outlets today. Take a listen.
I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper. We're filing one on 60 Minutes. We're involved in one which has been going on for a while and very successful.
Go!
against Bob Woodward. We have one very interestingly on Pulitzer because reporters.
Fear not, Husbro. When I'm president, we will invade and liberate the Great White North.
At the New York Times, Washington Post got Pulitzer Prizes for their wonderful, accurate, and highly professional reporting on the Russia hoax.
We don't have time to go into all of that, but just to touch base on a couple. There's one of them is the people of Iowa, the Des Moines Register. That's because there was a poll that was inaccurate. The one on 60 Minutes is because they didn't like the editing that had been done to the Kamala Harris.
Oh, they didn't like the editing? They completely changed Kamala's answer. Like, these people are such clowns.
Oh, come on. The editing? Yeah, they completely changed her answers. So I think that's
They
a
literally
pretty legit
did.
lawsuit, Jake.
I mean, this is wildly ridiculous.
Well, one of the things to keep in mind here is that Donald Trump feels like he won. I mean, this weekend, by having a settlement with ABC, one that many people did not think was going to come to fruition. They thought that this would end up in court, or that it would certainly not be a settlement in which ABC paid $16 million and issued a public apology, which was part of this, has been a situation which has empowered and emboldened Donald Trump.
We should note,
good. Let him have it. Let them all have it. Maybe for once, they will think before they speak.
Maybe. That would be ideal. Doubt it, though. Stephanopoulos, Snuffleupagus, Slopopotamus may be out at ABC News after the $15 million Trump defamation settlement. Tri-State, were you saying that he was crying? We need video of that. If that get your liberal tears collectors ready. George Snuffleupagus may be out at ABC News after CEO Bob Iger decided to pay out a $15 million defamation settlement plus $1 million to cover Trump's attorney's fees. $16 million, baby. Apparently, George Snuffleupagus's personal communications and things like that would have been subject to discovery, and it seems like they didn't want that. They did not want that at all. Trump's defamation case against ABC News was related to statements where they falsely slandered him as a rapist. And so hopefully Stephanopoulos will be out. Stephanopoulos may leave the network after being forced to apologize as part of the Trump defamation suit. Excerpt from Variety is assho. In a move that floored ABC News' rank-and-file journalists, emphasis on rank, inside the network and the broader journalistic community, Disney CEO Bob Iger authorized a $15 million settlement and an additional $1 million to cover Trump's legal fees, as well as a quasi-apology. On December 13th, according to sources, Stephanopoulos was blindsided, unaware that Disney would back down in such a public manner until a few hours before the news broke. Both Disney and Stephanopoulos declined comment to Variety as ASO. As CEO, Iger has long been a champion of Stephanopoulos, the Clinton hatchet man who they sent out to defame women accusing Bill Clinton of sexual assault in the 90s, allegedly. Despite the anchor's wonkier tendencies, as GMA has needed to lean more heavily on pop culture and celebrity for ratings. The morning show averaged 2.69 million viewers last week, behind today's 2.83 million average. When Stephanopoulos started to float the idea in 2020 that he might leave ABC as his 4-year contract was about to expire, Iger directly helped steer the negotiations to keep him in the fold, giving the anchor a new lucrative deal that has allowed him to produce documentaries for Hulu, such as Pretty Baby. That's a weird title. And isn't he getting paid like $15 million? $18 million a year, but with Stephanopoulos' current deal up in early 2025, insiders at ABC aren't sure if he'll stay at the network given the recent turn of events. Sources say Snuffleupagus has been vocal about how unhappy he's been with the settlement and apology. For ABC, the economics of paying an anchor $18 million a year may not make sense, as Good Morning America isn't the advertising cash cow it once was. Uh-oh. Snuffleupagus on the chopping block, baby. How about this? This one's for the Christians in our audience from Silence Do Good. Mysterious amulet discovered in Germany could rewrite history. How about this story by Namita Singh? Continue reading. Blog pop-up. Archaeologists have uncovered a nearly 1,800-year-old silver amulet in Germany, providing the earliest evidence of Christianity in the North Alps. The artifact, known as the Frankfurt silver inscription, was discovered during a 2017-18 excavation after the researchers digitally unrolled a tiny scroll inside the amulet, revealing an unusual Latin inscription. It will likely help historians understand how Christianity was practiced in the early Roman Empire. Measuring 1.4 inches, the amulet contains a wafer-thin sheet of silver foil that was rolled up tightly. It was discovered in the grave of a man aged between 25 and 35, buried in a cemetery in the Heilmannstraße area on the outskirts of Frankfurt. The man likely wore the amulet on a cord around his neck, concluded the researchers, as it was found just below his chin. The purpose of such amulets, known as phylacteries, quote, was to protect or heal their owners from a range of misfortunes, such as illnesses, body aches, infertility, or even demonic forces. So not only is it a signal of early Christianity in Germany, but it's also magic, baby. Warding off misfortunes, illnesses, etc. from the owner of the amulet. Pretty interesting. Tyne Russell, an independent biblical archaeologist not directly in the research, told Live Science this information, quote, "In an era without advanced medical knowledge, such items were vital sources of comfort and security for you and your loved ones," she added. Since the use of these amulets was rarer in the Western Roman world, its discovery in Germany, quote, "suggests that Christian ideas had already begun to penetrate areas far from Christianity's early centers of growth." Let's check out this little clip.
Archaeologists in Germany have unearthed in one 800-year-old silver amulet, the earliest evidence of Christianity north of the Alps.
Stupid AI.
Named the Frankfurt silver inscription, the amulet contains a silver foil with a...
You notice that? Stupid-ass AI, instead of saying 1,800 years, said, "and 1,800 years amulet." Like, God, ugh. Just read the fucking thing. Why do you have to make AI do it? You're the independent. You can afford to have a narrator sit down for 46 seconds and read a transcription.
Latin inscription. Discover inscription. The amulet contains a silver foil with a Latin inscription, discovered in a man's grave. These amulets, or phylacteries, were believed to protect against misfortunes like illness or demonic forces, providing comfort and security.
So she's just reading what we already read, but pretty interesting. Experts at the Leibniz Center for Archaeology in Mainz spent several years conserving, restoring, and analyzing the artifact after its discovery before sharing the findings in a statement just a couple days ago on the 11th. Quote, "The challenge in the analysis was that the silver sheet was rolled, but after around 1,800 years, it was of course also creased and pressed," Ivan Kalandra, head of the imaging platform at LISA, said in the statement. "Using CT scanners, we were able to scan it at a very high resolution and create a 3D model. The process revealed 18 lines of text, which have been dubbed the Frankfurt Silver Inscription and were deciphered by Professor Markus Scholz, an archaeologist from Gotha University in Frankfurt. It also includes references to Saint Titus, a student and confidant of Paul the Apostle. Quote, "Sometimes it took weeks, even months, before I had the next idea," Professor Scholz said. "I called in experts from the history of theology, among others, and we approached the text together, piece by piece, and finally deciphered it. The translation reads as follows. In the name of Saint Titus, holy, holy, holy. In the name of Jesus Christ, Son of God, the Lord of the world resists to the best of his ability all seizures, setbacks. The God grants well-being, admission. This rescue device protects the person who surrenders to the will of the Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, since before Jesus Christ bends all knees, the heavenly ones, the earthly, and the subterranean, and every tongue confess to Jesus Christ. The most significant aspect of the discovery is its age, according to a press release issued by Frankfurt city government. The grave where the amulet found is dated to between 230 and 270 AD, making it the first example of, quote, such authentic evidence of pure Christianity north of the Alps during this period. Until now, The earliest reliable evidence of Christian life in the northern Alpine regions of the Roman Empire has generally dated to the 4th century AD, at least 50 years younger than the newly discovered artifact. The Independent, blah, 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 blah about the Independent. So, kind of cool. Ancient amulet warding off evil. Pretty badass. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Link will be in the description if you want to check it out in more detail and do your own research on it. So let's talk about Matt Gaetz a little bit next. Apparently, the House Ethics Committee held a secret vote to release the, quote, damaging lawfare report of Matt Gaetz. Before the end of this Congress, we have a response from Gaetz as well. House Ethics panel secretly voted to release the lawfare report before the end of the Congress. The panel previously voted not to release the report after Gaetz resigned last month from Congress. Earlier this month, the House of Representatives voted to block resolutions by Democrats to force the House Ethics Committee from releasing the report on Gaetz. So what changed? Why are they now all of a sudden so in favor of releasing this report? CNN reported, blah, 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 stark reversal for the panel. Let's get to Gaetz's response. Here's his full statement. The Biden/Garland DOJ spent years reviewing allegations that I committed various crimes. I was charged with nothing, fully exonerated, not even a campaign finance violation, and the people investigating me hated me. So if they could find anything, you know that they would have charged him. Then, the very, quote, witnesses the DOJ deemed not credible were assembled by House Ethics to repeat their claims absent any cross-examination or challenge from me or my attorneys. Seems a little one-sided. I've had no chance to ever confront any accusers. I've never been charged. I've never been sued. Instead, House Ethics will reportedly post a report online that I have no opportunity to debate or rebut as a former member of the body. In my single days, I often sent funds to women I dated, even some I never dated, but who asked. I dated several of these women for years. I never had sexual contact with someone under 18. Any claim that I have would be destroyed in court, which is why no such claim was ever made in court. My 30s were an era of working very hard and playing hard, too. It's embarrassing, though not criminal, that I probably partied, womanized, drank, and smoked more than I should have earlier in life. I live a different life now. But at least I didn't vote for continuing resolutions that fuck over the country. Boom! Boom! Dropping the hammer with that last line, man. For real. These people are insane. 1,500 pages for a continuing resolution released on a Monday that they're supposed to vote on a Wednesday? I'm hearing that the vote was actually canceled last minute, and so that this continuing resolution is not passed. I'm not exactly sure what the current status is. If you guys have any super up-to-date information, post it in the chat so we can look at it. But next, let's hop over to Tucker Carlson. You cannot cuck the tuck. Elon Musk posting a very interesting interview as Tucker posts his new interview with Jeffrey Sachs on how Joe Biden has been the most destructive president in American history and how Donald Trump can repair the damage. They cover topics: the regime change in Syria, what is Greater Israel? Oh man, they're getting into it. Were Americans involved in the overthrowing of Assad? War with China by 2027? Biden's attempt to sabotage Trump? The attempted coup of South Korea? Jeffrey Sachs warning to Trump of potential nuclear war? Will we see the declassification of the 9/11 documents? Oh man, that'll be some more Israel revelations there for sure. Will Trump pardon Snowden and Assange? The most important appointment of Trump's cabinet. Biden's attempt to kill Putin. Can Trump bring peace? Is war with Iran inevitable? And why corporate media hates Jeffrey Sachs. This is a guy who broke down in that 9-minute video, giving a speech in front of a crowd, the true background and information about the Ukraine conflict. and how it's basically our fault and NATO's fault that have been pressing on Russia for years, violating any and all agreements that we make, and leaving Russia with no choice but to try to defend the ethnic Russians in the Donbass being mercilessly slaughtered by the Ukrainian dogs over there. Let's watch a couple minutes of this.
Well, first of all, thank you. So many things have happened.
Tucker, Mike sounding great.
In the last 2 weeks, I keep thinking, where's Jeff Sachs? I want to know what this means. So the most dramatic and, from my perspective, unexpected thing that happened was all of a sudden the government in Syria changed. There was regime change in Syria. Who did that? Why? And what does it mean?
Well, it's part of a 30-year effort. This is Netanyahu's war to remake the Middle East. It's been a disaster. It continues to be a disaster. But as Netanyahu himself said after Assad left, we have remade the Middle East. And so it has to be understood as something that didn't just happen in a week, but has been an ongoing war throughout the Middle East.
Good question, Endell saying, what's the interest Jeffrey Sachs by conservatives? The man claims we're all still racist. Plus, he's a professor. I don't trust professor. I feel you, Endell. As far as I go, I know virtually nothing about Jeffrey Sachs. I've only seen recent clips where he's been spitting hot fire, talking about the truth about the Ukraine situation, and there was something else, but I'd take your word for it, bro. Definitely just don't trust anybody on everything, but even broken clocks are right every once in a while. So when somebody says something right, I'll give credit where it's due, but yes, we should not just blindly trust, especially if he's saying stuff like that. Thanks for the intel, brother. Appreciate it. Mandy! What's up, Mandy?
And maybe the right way to understand what's happened with Syria is to think back to a really remarkable occasion when Wesley Clark, the general who headed NATO, went to the Pentagon just after 9/11. And famously, he was showed a piece of paper that said we're going to have 7 wars in 5 years. And he was completely dumbfounded. He said, what does this have to do with anything? And he was told that the neocons and the Israelis are going to remake the Middle East. And the 7 countries on the list are very telling. They were Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and then in Africa, Libya, Somalia, and Sudan. And 7 countries, we've been at war in 6 of them now. And I mean we, the United States, on behalf of Israel, including in Syria. And so what happened in Syria last week was the culmination of a long-term effort by Israel to reshape the Middle East in its image. That started with Netanyahu and his American advisors in 1996 in something called Clean Break.
Sounds like he's right about this too, man. This is fucked.
Which was a political document that the Americans and Netanyahu made when Netanyahu became prime minister. After 9/11, it went into full gear with the Iraq wars being the first of those wars.
Clean break, what does that refer to?
Clean break is we're going to make a clean break of the Middle East.
A break with the past.
We're going to break with the past. We're not going to have land for peace, which is the idea that Israel would have a Palestinian state next door. No, we're going to have greater Israel, and we're just going to bash anybody that doesn't like it.
Including Americans who criticize anything about Israel, you're automatically anti-Semitic. I call bullshit. Bullshit. You can be against greater Israel, against Zionist mafioso activity and criminal cartels dominating all kinds of big industries around the world, and still love the Jewish people. Just saying.
And we're going to do that by bringing down any government that supports the Palestinians.
Good question. And I forgot. I always forget. How do I forget? It's indeed Hump Day! AKA Trump Day, as he won on a Wednesday a month and a half ago. So, yeah, thanks for reminding me, some brother. Good to see you.
It's a rather shocking amount of hubris. It has been, in my view, a complete disaster for the United States and for the Middle East. It has been Netanyahu's MO since 1996, actually, and he's been prime minister more than half the time since then. And the United States goes to war on his behalf. And what happened in Syria is the culmination of that effort.
Yeah, why were we in Iraq in the first place? Why were we in the Middle East after Israel's involvement in 9/11 and the 3,000 Israeli citizens in New York City warned on the Odingo communications service where they got text messages not to be near the trade towers or the Capitol on 9/11, and then we just happened to invade these countries in the Middle East that Israel doesn't like? Seems a little suspicious to me.
So 7 wars in 5 years. Netanyahu came to the U.S. in 2002, after 9/11. Actually, he came in September 20th, 2001, if I remember correctly, and gave a speech that said, there's terrorism, but you don't fight the terrorists, you fight the governments that back the terrorists. That's the idea. So you go to war. You don't just have a kind of an anti-terrorism effort, you go to war. And the first of those wars was Iraq, but Syria was supposed to be exactly the next war. And the timeline was this remarkable idea of 7 wars in 5 years. According to all of the understanding that we now have from lots of insiders, from documents, from the archives, what happened was the U.S. got bogged down in Iraq. There was the insurgency. We didn't move onward to the next war, which was to be Syria, which was to happen already 20 years ago. But in 2011, what really brought Assad down last week started under Obama. And this is also interesting. It doesn't really matter who's president. This is long-term deep state policy. Obama ordered the CIA to overthrow Assad. So that started in 2011.
But why would Obama want to overthrow Assad?
Because Israel has run American foreign policy in the Middle East for 30 years.
And in Europe for 30 years before that, even before Israel existed, with the Rothschilds pulling the strings, pulling us into World War I and World War II to do their dirty commie work. It's insane, man. It's insane. So you guys get the gist. Let's hop over to a little palate cleanser next and check out this cool-ass footage of a swan landing. Walking on water, baby. I just thought that was kind of fun. All right, let's see what we got next. Oh, we talked about this a bit yesterday with Lizard Cheney caught communicating with Cassidy Hutchinson behind the scenes without her lawyer president, involving The View co-host Alyssa Farah Griffin, connecting them. Now The View co-host is in hot water. Alyssa Farah Griffin caught coaching federal witness and known liar Cassidy Hutchinson may face criminal investigation. I like this picture. They grab. It looks like she's choking. So good. The Committee on House Administration's Subcommittee. What the fuck kind of name is this? Committee on House Administration's Subcommittee on Oversight. Chairman Barry Loudermilk released a second interim report Tuesday addressing the events surrounding January 6th. Key report not only highlighted widespread failures, but also issued damning allegations against key members of the now disbanded January 6th Unselect Committee. Quote, This interim report reveals there was not just one single cause for what happened at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, but it was a series of intelligence, security, and leadership failures at several levels and numerous entities. We read that quote yesterday, and I said, it wasn't failures. They did everything like they were supposed to. And we also know why they deleted their communications from the public, because witness tampering is a federal crime, because Lizard Cheney was communicating with this lady without her lawyer present. And yes, they should all be looking at prison time. Alyssa Farah Griffin had several text exchanges with Cassidy Hutchinson. They mutually hated President Trump. She was the go-between between Lizard Cheney and Hutchinson. We saw the text messages yesterday, but apparently this may now result in criminal investigations. So hopefully, Gateway Pundit has previously compiled a list of Cassidy Hutchinson's 9 confirmed lies, and it all still stands true today. So I want to see Alyssa Farah Griffin investigated and arrestimated as well. Let's start prosecuting people for criminal actions and end this two-tiered injustice system to which we've all been subjected mercilessly over the past decades. How about this? Doge heads Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy highlight 1,547 pages in the continuing resolution, which gives a 40% pay increase to congressmen. Musk saying this bill should not pass. The Doge co-heads Elon Musk and Vivek highlighted the continuing resolution expected to be voted upon in the House and Senate this week before Congress recesses for Christmas. President Trump announced that they would be heading Doge. They're going to be cutting hopefully more than $2 trillion in wasteful government spending. Vivek posted on X that he currently was reading the 1,547-page bill to fund the government through mid-March, expecting every U.S. congressman and senator to do the same. He said, yeah, right. They're not going to read 1,500 pages before in 2 days. It's impossible for most people. Members of Congress aren't even going to have time to read the bill before voting on it. Doge co-head Elon Musk reposted Ramaswamy's post, adding, this bill should not pass. Rep. Lauren Boebert said she's a hard no, pirate style. Musk further pointed out that the continuing resolution includes a 40% pay raise to nearly $250,000 a year for members of Congress. How can this be called a continuing resolution if it includes a 40% pay increase? Yeah, it's almost like they probably told him behind the scenes, well, if you vote for it, you'll get a 40% pay increase, so don't read it, just vote. Don't read it, just vote. They're bribing congressmen to vote for stuff that they're not even reading, in my opinion, allegedly, of course. So there are 2 pieces of this continuing resolution posted by Wall Street Mav, at Wall Street Mav. 2 provisions buried in the CR that Congress is trying to slip by. Pay increase for members of Congress from $174,000 a year to $243,000 per year. Also, members of Congress are receiving an opt-out from being required to use Obamacare. So 2-tiered system as usual. Ridiculous. There's also all kinds of other crazy stuff in there we'll get into. Others, including Judicial Watch's Tom Fitton, noted that the CR will also allow members of Congress to swap out their Obamacare insurance plans for the Federal Employees Health Benefits Program. Per Punchbowl News, quote, under the Affordable Care Act, lawmakers and some designated staff are required to use an Obamacare exchange instead of the FEHBP. Rules for thee, said Fitton. Yeah, sounds about right. This bill clearly puts the swamp first, not everyday Americans. Insane. As Gateway Pundit reported earlier, Republican House leadership caved on a bipartisan continuing resolution to avoid a government shutdown and, quote, keep spending money out the wazoo for another 3 months, said Rep. Andy Biggs. Quote, the problem that goes with it, of course, is that we have a structural deficit that keeps a mounting national debt going. Yeah, Keynesian deficit financing, it's called, and it is mathematically guaranteed to end in complete financial implosion. You know, sometimes when you're like looking at systems of stuff, you can break down a system into like the base units of the system and then extrapolate to figure out how the system functions as a whole. And in a situation like this, if you were to have an individual household running a debt and constantly going into more debt, it's fiscally not sustainable. So you can just extrapolate that principle nationwide, and you know that this is doomed to fail at the end. It's pretty simple. It's hard to comprehend for me how people on the left can't wrap their minds around this. Lady Hamilton Art, good to see you. Let's see. I see you posted a link over there. Thanks. We'll check that out in a couple seconds. Continuing, GOP Rep and House Freedom Caucus member Eric Burleson from Missouri said, quote, "It's a total dumpster fire. I think it's garbage." Many conservatives, House members are furious that Speaker Mike Johnson has once again caved and agreed to increase the national debt. Rep Nancy Mace slammed her colleagues in an ex-post saying, quote, "We do this every year. The manufactured, quote, government shutdown crisis so everyone can get everything they want into an omnibus or continuing resolution taking us further into debt." Another example of problem, reaction, solution paradigm. Oh, the government's going to shut down. They create a panic, and everybody's like, oh, God, you got to pass the continuing resolution. And that's the goal in the end, is to put everything in there and to get everybody all whipped up and manipulate them into passing it. Let's check out this link from Lady Hamilton next. Doge Days official trailer starring Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy coming January 20th. So, what would you say you do here? Office Space.
Coming this spring to MXNBC, a groundbreaking series that will change the U.S. government and the world forever. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, under the direction of former star of The Apprentice, Donald Trump, will challenge 3 million contestants to carry their load or hit the road. That's right. We'll be asking every government employee to prove their value.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Just like in a good old-fashioned meritocracy.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming in. What would you say it is that you do around here?
I mean, a lot of days I really do stuff. It's just there's not that much going on today.
I helped Tanner and Blaze replace those heavy 5-gallon water containers.
Tune in each week as Elon and Vivek measure every federal employee's value and efficiency.
And time. So your study on how cocaine enhances the sex drive of Japanese quail, what's that worth to the American taxpayer?
I think it's priceless.
And get ready for the savings as those that don't make the cut get shown the door.
The president wants to tell you something.
Firstly, thank you for coming in today. And second, you're fired.
The Emmy Award-watching viewers of Deadwood and Idiocracy present Doge Days, the purge of the U.S. government.
Boom.
Love it. Forest of dead wood out there. We got to get chopping, buddy.
Gotta get chopping, buddy. Nice AI. Oh, man. I'm pretty sure we played that before, but totally worth a rewatch. Thanks for sharing Lady Hamilton Art. Make sure to check out Lady Hamilton Art's channel on Rumble, rumble.com/Lady Hamilton Art. Interviewing all kinds of awesome people over there like Wood Geek, me, and people like Richard Fleming. Is one of the people exposing the jib jab stuff before it even came out. Big ups to you, Lady H. Keep up the great work over there. Bill just shared this in chat too. Vivek posting about Thomas Massey joining Doge. A good Doge man. Welcome aboard, Rep. Thomas Massey. A natural fit for Doge. Even if he's still active in Congress, he can participate voluntarily. And like Mark Andreessen, the dude who exposed the AI takeover, and how yesterday we played the clip of how the federal government classified and suppressed entire branches of physics, likely pertaining to zero-point energy, fusion, anti-gravity, etc. And he said they're going to be looking at the regulatory code line by line, checking out whether every single regulation that we have is needed or not, whether it stays put or goes to the trash bin. I say we dump it all and just start fresh. Just start fresh. Bill does a nice tie. Yeah, good one for sure. For sure. So that's exciting. Definitely looking forward to hearing updates from Massey about all this. Meanwhile, Rand Paul calls Speaker Mike Johnson a weak man after spending deal is revealed. A sad day for America. A budget deal agreed upon by conservative leaders is being attacked by conservatives as too much waste being approved in too little time. On Tuesday, a deal was cut to pass what's known as a continuing resolution to keep the government funded through March 14th. In theory, Congress is supposed to pass a federal budget by October 1st, but in practice, it uses a series of stopgap bills to operate the government while Congress hashes out a final budget. Current stopgap bill expires Friday. Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky was among those, saying the agreement is a disaster for fiscal restraint. Quote, "I'd hoped to see Speaker Johnson grow a spine, but this bill full of pork shows he is a weak man," Paul posted on X. "The debt will continue to grow. Ultimately, the dollar will fail, inevitably, mathematically guaranteed if we continue like this. Democrats are clueless, and big government Republicans are complicit. A sad day for America." Yep. Republican Senator based Mike Lee of Utah noted that many who support President-elect Donald Trump's Department of Government Efficiency failed to translate that public support into action when they should have done so. This is frustrating. Many of the loudest self-proclaimed Doge heroes in Congress will vote for the continuing resolution, even though it flies in the face of everything that Doge is trying to fix and perpetuates the very problems Republicans railed against while campaigning this year. He posted on X, they'll say Doge will fix it. Well, hopefully Doge will fix it. But still, stand on principle. Don't go along with this garbage because you're going to get a 40% pay raise. I mean, give me a break. You're mixing in a pay raise, which should be a standalone bill, incentivizing them to vote for. Like, how can you not see that as incentive to vote for this bill? They're manipulating people monetarily to sign on to this continuing resolution. It's blackmail or something like that. I don't know. Bribery. That's the word. Lee's post contained a comment from Daniel Horowitz of The Blaze, mocking critics of big spending who just spent even bigger. Quote, "We're going to cut spending like there's no tomorrow. Doge, 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 everything Doge." Horowitz mocked the big spenders as saying, then at the very first leverage point following the big election win, they actually increase spending from the record inflationary baseline. Gotta grab Loki. She's flying around over there. Sorry about that. Paul said he might not be on board with the timetable to zip through the procedural steps and pass the budget by Friday, according to The Hill. "I can't anticipate giving any time of consent to condensed time without debate, and debate means amendments," Paul said, targeting subsidies for green energy companies. I'm sure there's all kinds of crazy crap in this. I did see that Elon and Vivek had uploaded the entire 1,500 plus pages and had Grok analyze it and pull out all kinds of crazy, stupid, wasteful spending that's in it. I think I have a link to that. But if not, I'll try to find it. "I think they should be forced to decide. Do you want to help the people in Asheville, or do you want to help green energy companies, multi-million-dollar companies with subsidies for green energy? There's about $4 billion out there in that. Insane." So obviously, he's referring to North Carolina, where the people actually need help now, but instead, no, we're going to give money to every other country and corporation except the people starving to death in the cold mountains of North Carolina. House Speaker Mike Johnson said he wants the bill to go through the regular process, which could mean a pit stop at the Rules Committee, where critics could slow the bill's process, CBS reported. Republican Rep. Chip Roy of Texas said the bill's fast track, quote, "is not the process that we signed up for. We need single issue bills. This whole thing is garbage. Quote, we get this negotiated crap and we're forced to eat this crap sandwich," Roy said. Brutal. Gross. Why? Because freaking Christmas is right around the corner. It's the same damn thing. It's the same dang thing every year. Legislate by crisis. Legislate by calendar. Not legislate because it's the right thing to do. Nailed it. So Chase Geyser posted about this saying, "Never forget that Mike Johnson supported the $1.2 trillion omnibus bill, which funded biolabs, censorship, and more government control for the next planned pandemic. He acted like he only supported it because it couldn't be stopped, but it was stopped. He either gave up or he's sold out, but either way, he should not be speaker. Audrey asking, it was stopped? And Chase says they canceled the vote tonight because they didn't have enough. They will keep trying. So apparently, as of right now, according to Chase, 2 hours ago, they have canceled the vote on the continuing resolution. Good news. Tin Man saying, I heard it was because Elon said he was going to pay to primary them out in 2 years if they voted for it. He did post on X saying that anybody who votes for this continuing resolution should be primaried in 2 years. Let's hop over real quick. I'm sure we can find it. Let's see. Maybe we can't find it super easy. He posts a lot. So maybe we can't find it super easy, but he said it. I promise you. Let's see if we scroll up to the top. We could search him, type Premier. Whoops. Oh, because I'm not sure if it was primary. I think he said primaried. I don't know. We can't find it. Sorry. But get the gist. It has supposedly been stopped, dead in its tracks for now. But if it were to be passed, it does contain a bunch of crazy crap like this. The House continuing resolution would quietly extend the Global Engagement Center 1 year with no proposed controls over domestic censorship support. So we talked about the Global Engagement Center. Last week, Gateway Pundit reported on an excerpt from the lawsuit Daily Wire LLC et al. Versus United States Department of State et al., in which it was stated that the Global Engagement Center's statutory authority would expire this month on December 23rd, and that it is the defendant's understanding that reauthorization is unlikely to occur. The filing stated that, quote, the department transmitted a notification to Congress regarding its plan for the forthcoming termination of the GEC and its plan to realign the center's staff and funding to other department offices and bureaus for foreign information manipulation and interference activities in the event that the termination is not extended. We covered that last week. The staff of the controversial bureau would have then been able to potentially cede their authoritarian anti-First Amendment censorship into other bureaus that may or may not already have a facet of censorship embedded within their ranks, breaking it apart, making it a little bit harder to track down and neutralize each of these branches that would continue censoring and manipulating public dialogue. Fear not, however, for a valiant Republican House has come to the rescue. In the continuing resolution introduced by Speaker Mike Johnson last night, there is a section that would extend the Global Engagement Center's existence. Section 301 of the continuing resolution amends the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2017 to read, quote, on the date that is 9 years after the date of the enactment of this act. Previously, it had read 8 years, but now with the amendment, the GEC will exist in our bureaucracy for at least 1 more year. 9 years, they're saying now, instead of 8. A sneaky little way to keep the GEC going and censoring Americans for another year. GEC, with a staff of approximately 180 employees and a rough budget of $61 million, will continue without any legislated change to their authorities if this is not amended out of the continuing resolution, despite suggestions from Senators Chris Murphy and John Cornyn to tighten control of the GEC's spending and to forbid them from supporting organizations and entities that engage in political activities in the U.S., as reported by Politico. So this is in there. It could extend the GEC for another year. We don't want none of that. We want none of that. Let's see. I want to try to find that Elon thing again real quick. Maybe if I type CR, that'll show up. Why is this not showing up? All right, let's check latest. I don't know what's going on with that. Let's see what we got next on the list. More dirt on the continuing resolution. Oh no, this one we already covered. Yeah, $1.2 trillion omnibus. All right, we have a clip from Vivek talking about what he learned upon reading the entire document. Call your elected representatives today to stop the steal of your tax dollars, Elon Musk posts reposting Insurrection Barbie's video of Vivek over here from his TikTok.
Congress is about to pass a bill that blows away your taxpayer money, but they made it over 1,500 pages long so you wouldn't read it. I did you a favor. I read it for you. It's supposed to be about keeping government operations open and providing disaster relief aid to hurricane victims, which I'm sympathetic to. But if you read the bill carefully, it contains pay raises for members of Congress, and I'm not making this up, an expansion of their federal health benefits. It contains all kinds of special interests and pork funding, including opening up a new stadium in Washington, D.C. It renews the Global Engagement Center, which is a key node of the censorship industrial complex. And the worst part is, they didn't want you to know about any of it, and that's why they made this a last-minute jam job. The reason I'm co-heading DOGE is I need outsiders to bring actual accountability to Washington, D.C. So feel free to call your congressman and let him know how you feel about it. Congress is about to pass a bill that blows away your taxpayer money.
Yep, a whole bunch of crap in there that we don't want. Call your congressman immediately. Tell them that they will be primaried. Oh, you found the tweet, Wood Geek? You're the man. You're the man. Let's see. Yep, any member of the House or Senate who votes for this outrageous spending bill deserves to be voted out in 2 years. There you go, Wood Geek. I got the verbiage wrong, so thanks for helping out with that. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, he's already said that he will be backing America PAC to the tune of bazillions and bazillions of dollars to make sure that anybody that goes against MAGA is primaried. Oh, it looks like I got the wrong link on this other thing over here. All right, we'll continue on with another palate cleanser. Considering I have a parrot, I thought this one was pretty cool. Take a look at this. A mother parrot shielding her babies during a rainstorm. That's kind of cool. The desire to protect your children built in. I don't know if you guys saw that video of the other guy the other day talked about how he was able to get out of prison by sacrificing his son. He was like, "Oh, it's all good. I can just make another one." Really? Really? Little bit sketchy thing to say. But yeah, I thought that was cool. Holding out the feathers. It's remarkable the control that they have over their wings to shape them in various ways, depending on how they need to fly or what they're trying to accomplish. We also got a video over here from Greg Foreman. Black conservative perspective. 924 in this. We got a clip of Donald Trump calling for Lizard Cheney to be investigated by the FBI. I like this.
Came out basically accusing Liz Cheney of witness tampering, which could subject Liz Cheney to an FBI investigation that is led by Kash Patel. Okay, and this is why Kash Patel is their worst nightmare, right? So now the media, they're panicking over the fact that the tables have turned. The tables have turned. And I want to react to CNN talking about this because clearly they're concerned about Liz Cheney, right? This is why Biden is considering giving out these pre-pardons, right? These pardons that would essentially get people like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and others off, right? The people that are part of the J6 committee, because the J6 committee may have engaged in fraudulent behavior in order to skew the outcome of the investigation, right, against Trump, okay, which is essentially what Trump is accusing the liberal media of doing. He's accusing these fake pollsters of doing. And yeah, they're panicking about this big time.
Donald Trump, just weeks away from being invested with the immense powers of the presidency, calling for a criminal investigation into Liz Cheney over witness tampering after a report from House Republicans singled her out, accusing her of colluding with a witness on the January 6th committee and recommending she be investigated for possible criminal prosecution. The president-elect weighing in on Tuesday's report just 3 hours ago, saying this on his Truth Social platform, quote, Liz Cheney could be in a lot of trouble based on the evidence obtained by the subcommittee, which states that numerous federal laws were likely broken by Liz Cheney, and these violations should be investigated by the FBI, end quote. 3:11 a.m. this morning. The president-elect there, referring to the report released yesterday by a Republican-controlled House subcommittee, alleging what it called, quote, the failures and politicization of the January 6th Select Committee, end quote. The report calls the committee, quote, a political weapon with a singular focus to deceive the public into blaming President Trump for the violence on January 6th and tarnish the legacy of his first presidency. Among the report's allegations against Cheney, that she colluded with one of the committee's witnesses, Cassidy Hutchinson, who served as an assistant to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Hutchinson provided testimony about Trump's actions on January 6th, including recounting a story she was told about an interaction the president had with his Secret Service driver.
She provided allegations, testimony about allegations of Trump's conduct on January 6th.
The president said something to the effect of, I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now. To which Bobby responded, sir, we have to go back to the West Wing. The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle.
JJR, enjoy the rest of your shift, brother. Thanks for listening.
The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol. Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel.
In a length.
Does anybody really believe that? Does anybody really believe that? Really? Really? Again, that's a story that, in my opinion, is so ridiculous that it has to be made up, right? It has to be made up. Okay, I'm just saying, like, come on, man. This is the type of nonsense that was put out there, okay? And again, we all know what the intent was, okay? So again, Trump is essentially arguing that, no, we're not going to let you get away with this, okay? We're not going to let you get away with it. And honestly, I support it. I support Trump punishing these individuals, going after these individuals for this fraud, right? Because that's what it is, in my opinion.
Lengthy statement, Cheney refuted the report's findings. She says that it, quote, intentionally disregards the truth and the Select Committee's tremendous weight of evidence and instead fabricates lies and defamatory allegations in an attempt to cover up what Donald Trump did.
Yeah, that's right, Wiley. That's what we were saying too when all the ideas of pardoning Fauci and all these other scumbag criminals were coming out. We're going to prove, hopefully, that 2020 was stolen. Jan Halper Hayes said that Space Force has all the receipts, the true results, the digital evidence of manipulation from foreign servers and all kinds of stuff. We have the algorithms, evidence of the algorithms at play in Michigan, skewing votes harder and harder, the more Republican the county was. Dozens of hours of testimonies and sworn affidavits from thousands of people presented to state legislatures in Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin. They all broadcasted live on RSBN, but that the media wouldn't touch. The controlled, corrupt, corporate cartel media, that is. So yeah, we're going to prove that 2020 was stolen. Everything Joe Biden ever did is going to be nullified. All of his pardons are going to be nullified, hopefully, if we can make this happen. And these people are going to lose their shit when this all goes down. Let's continue.
What did Donald Trump do?
Nothing, right? Donald Trump didn't do anything. This is clearly CNN, again, running propaganda on behalf of the Democrats, okay, and the Never Trumpers. So, yeah, again, like I said, there are questions about this because this woman's testimony has come under a lot of fire due to the fact that there's no evidence at all to back up what this woman claimed happened, right? This article right here from The Guardian, House Republicans report contradicts witness account of Trump's will grab. U.S. House Republicans on Monday released a report they said it contradicted sensational January 6th committee testimony in which a former aide to Donald Trump described being told that as the attack on Congress unfolded, the then president was so eager to join supporters at the Capitol, he tried to grab the wheel of his car. Quote, the testimony of 4 White House employees directly contradicts claims made by Cassie Hutchinson and by the Select Committee in the final report. Read the report by the House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight, which searched for alleged bias or malpractice in the January 6th investigation. Quote, none of the White House employees corroborated Hutchinson's sensational story about President Trump lunging for the steering wheel of the beast, the report said, referring to the colloquial name for cars that carry the president. Quote, some witnesses did describe the president's mood after the speech at the eclipse. It is highly improbable that the other White House employees would have heard about the president's mood in the SUV following his speech at the eclipse, but not heard the sensational story that Hutchinson claims Anthony Ornato, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, told her after returning to the White House on January 6th. Hutchinson, a former aide to Trump, and his final chief of staff, Mark Meadows, testified before the January 6th committee in private and in public. Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, there's basically no evidence to back up this claim, right? And a lot of people are wondering, okay, where in the world did she get this story, right? Why did she say that? And a lot of people, again, are pointing to Liz Cheney and some alleged text messages that were exchanged, that were communicated between Liz Cheney and the witnesses, and people are saying, okay, well, maybe Liz Cheney was involved in this. Cheney allegedly exchanged calls and messages with Cassie Hutchinson, a first-term White House aide to then President Trump, via the encrypted app Signal just weeks before her June 2022 testimony, much of which was later largely debunked, House Republicans have previously claimed. It remains to be seen if Trump nominees to lead the Justice Department will act on the committee's recommendation. Quote, evidence uncovered by the subcommittee revealed that former Congresswoman Liz Cheney tampered with at least one witness, Cassie Hutchinson, by secretly communicating with Hutchinson without Hutchinson's attorney's knowledge, the report from Chairman Barry Loudermilk of Georgia said.
I thought there was video of him saying that that the FBI should investigate Cheney. I'm a little confused. So if I can find the video, I will play it. Let's move on to our next story for now, though. Wiley posted a video in the chat of an individual making the argument that Canada is a part of the United States. Let's check this out for a couple minutes. How long is this segment, Wiley?
So that being said, I found that to be incredibly intriguing outside the information. The other stuff we'll talk about here in a minute. But so where are we in this evolution, Norman? Where are we at this point in your battle? I know they've made life very difficult for you, but you're scoring some major victories up there in Canada. What's the latest and greatest on you proving to the government that they're not legitimate, and you know full well that Canada actually is part of the United States?
Yes, thank you, and thanks for inviting me. I've done the 3 quo warantos, which we've spoken about in the past, one in April, one in May, and one in July. They were ignored. I gave them deadlines, ignored. Then I wrote to the Canadian Judge Advocate General, ignored. I said if he did not respond, he was complicit in the crime, the impersonation.
Twerky, I see you over there.
After his deadline passed on August the 15th, I wrote to the American Judge Advocate General and informed him of this, and I wrote to President Donald Trump. And after that, I thought maybe I can get some concrete proof from the National Archives in Ottawa. And it's called the Library of Canada and National Archives.
We got Cool Frog too. What's up, Cool Frog?
Giant building right next to the Parliament buildings, and it is supposed to contain all government documents going back hundreds of years. And I went there in person. I registered myself as a researcher. So I've got a National Archives ID card. So I don't, I can go in there and they know who I am. I went in there about 2.5 weeks ago with an associate. So I had a witness, And I went to the archivist at the desk, like, this place is huge. It's got like 80-foot ceilings on the main floor, and it's huge. It's a grand building. And, it's something like Raiders of the Lost Ark almost. And I went in there, and here's this desk in the middle of this huge room.
This is from the Patriot Street Fighter channel on Rumble. FYI.
And I said, here's what I'm looking for. And I handed him a document of what I was looking for, which would be letters patent or patent and royal writ of authority, granting the authority from the monarch
Stormblade
to the governor general. I think I should review again how it works in Canada, our supposed government works in Canada as opposed to the US. In the US, you have an election and you have a chief executive officer, the president, right? He's the president of the executive, and he executes the laws that are passed in Congress. And in Canada, we have a monarch, a king or a queen. And we are supposedly a constitutional monarchy, which means we've got a monarch that allows us to have a government. The prime minister is called minister, not president, the prime minister, because he or she is a minister of the crown. He's the prime minister. But we have other ministers. We have the minister of agriculture, the minister of justice, different ministers, but they all swear an oath to the monarch, not to the people of Canada. Okay, so the system is we're allowed to pass our own laws. The monarch says, okay, we'll let you pass your own laws. And then the laws have to have royal approval. It's called royal assent. So we pass a law. Then we hand it to the governor general, and it's a rubber stamp. It's a given that the governor general will approve. Okay. And
nice one, Sean. Don't forget, if you guys are in Connecticut and need tattoos, my boy Sean over at Anderson Inc. has got you covered. Post a link if you got a page they can check out, Sean, in the chat. Thanks.
The governor general also has the power to shut down Parliament and call for an election. It's only symbolic. Well, it actually does. The prime minister goes to the governor general and says, I'm ready for an election. And then the governor general closes Parliament. So it's all predicated on the monarch and the governor general. And in the United States, when a law is passed, it cannot be copyrighted. It belongs to all the people of the United States. In Canada, when a law is passed, it is supposedly copyrighted in the name of the monarch. And Brad, if you pull this up, if you go on Google and type in Norman Traversy, the first thing that comes up is the Intellectual Property Office of the Government of Canada. You click on that link, and you will see that the Charter of Rights and Freedoms belongs to me. And don't show the address, but it belongs to me and my brother. And that is showing that the whole thing's a farce. Okay, I did that years ago. But now that I've done the Quo Warrantos and the letters to the JAG and President Trump, I went to the archives.
Thanks,
I thought
Sean.
maybe there's something in the archives, and they just...
So you guys can find Anderson Inc. on Facebook. Look up on Facebook, Anderson Inc. Tattoos. Anderson Inc. One word. Look for his logo with the AI. Anderson Inc. You'll find him. Thanks, buddy.
Messed up. So I asked this archivist, and he couldn't find anything. And then he said, this is above my pay grade. I will make an appointment for you with the chief archivist of the Archives of Canada. And I said, okay, thinking it would be maybe next week or whatever. And I said, when's the appointment for? He said, half an hour. So this nice lady came down, the chief archivist, and I explained to her what I wanted. And she'd never had that request before, and she could not find it. So then she said, get back to me in a week. I'm going to look for this. And I came back in a week, and she wasn't there, but she did communicate right away with me and the person with me. And she said that she had two assistants, two other archivists, and herself looking for a week, and they could not find anything. And I said, do you even have a Christmas card from the monarch to the governor general? Do you have anything? And she couldn't find a thing. So then I drafted up a letter, had my signature on it, and in a very friendly way, I said, you have to the end of the week. to get back to me. And if you can find a document like that, then I'll go on the internet and say, my bad, here it is. But if you can't, I would like you to put on Archives of Canada letterhead that the document can't be found and doesn't exist. And she said, well, maybe it's in the Governor General's possession. I said, yeah, that's possible, but I've written 3 quo warantos to the Governor General. And if it's in her possession, there's these machines that can copy a piece of paper, and she could send me a copy. and she hasn't. So it's obviously not in her possession. I came back on the deadline, and she couldn't find it. Then she sent me an email, a very long email, showing what they had come up with. And she said, if you want to come in, we can let you look at these documents, but some of them you're not allowed to look at. But none of them are the document that authorizes the Governor General. So there's a big list of appointments and resignations from Governor General, but those are appointments from the Prime Minister. There's no authorization from the monarch. So once again, all she's saying is, here, the Governor General, the Prime Minister picked this Governor General, the Prime Minister picked that one. That's a big deal. I'm asking for some authorization from the monarch, and they haven't got it. So
it's very interesting. So there's another supplementary Substack article over here. Canada, America's orphaned cousin. Canada, well, when will America's orphaned cousin finally accept its rightful invitation into the U.S. constitutional republic? Very interesting. Every Canadian is an American, says retired U.S. Army Major General Paul Vallely. His words echo true under the sense of America's founding fathers published Articles of Confederation on November 15th, 1777. Very interesting. Very interesting. So both links will be in the video description and the show notes on Rumble, on X as well, if you want to check them out. Thanks for sharing, Wiley. I'm going to have to do a deep dive into that. I know that the House of Lords in England didn't want to officially grant the title of Lord Sterling to Washington's Major General William Alexander, my 8X great-grandfather, probably because it would have included a giant land tract that included all of Nova Scotia. So under that circumstance, Nova Scotia likely would have been part of the U.S., but it seems like it all could be connected anyway. Very interesting, Wiley. Thanks for sharing. We got an update next on the astronauts that are stranded up in space. Bring them back. 2 astronauts left stranded in space by Boeing's Starliner have their return to Earth in SpaceX's Crew 9, delayed yet again. Now they're not going to be back until late March 2025. They're going to lose half of their bone density by that time. This is crazy. The 8 to 10 day space mission, a 3-hour tour of Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, has just become at least 30 days longer and is now set to last 9 months. At least they have food and oxygen up there. Ooh, Sean saying that the moon mission got pushed back to 2027 too. Interesting. I don't know about which moon mission that is, but I take your word for it. Mama Mac saying, we need to finally split from England, Europe. That's the only job we should finish from 1776. Agreed. End the special relationship. Declare war on the UK. Let's go for it. Oh, man. So Wilmore and Williams flew the first ever crewed mission of flawed Boeing's Starliner capsule to the International Space Station, but were left stranded after the many issues with the craft that returned empty. Now they're going to have to wait even longer. Space.com reported, quote, the next crew rotation mission to the International Space Station, ISS, SpaceX's Crew 10, has been delayed to no earlier than late March 2025, NASA announced on Tuesday. Crew 10 was originally slated to fly in February, but it has been pushed back to allow time for SpaceX to complete work on a brand new Crew Dragon spacecraft for the mission, NASA said in a statement on Tuesday. So, sucks to be these guys. They're still stuck up there in space. Brutal, man. Brutal. Let's check in with Tom McDonald. He's got a take on the drone situation that's pretty good.
You know what's fucking amazing to me? The government can't figure out where all these drones flying around in our skies are coming from. But if I don't claim $47 on my taxes, they figure that out in about 2 seconds. They can access the microphone in my smart TV and tell me the last 35 times I farted, but they can't figure out where the drones shutting down the airports are coming from? When I was a kid, they used to track Santa Claus live on television using radar, and he doesn't even exist. But you can't tell me where these drones are coming from? What are you guys doing over there? I think we need to have a serious chat about allocation of resources, guys. Stop spending money on spying on the people who live here, and start spending money on whatever's spying on us flying around in the clouds. Unless, of course, you already know the answer and you just don't want to tell us. These drones are shutting down airports and stopping planes from flying, and you're not doing anything about it. If I jaywalk and stop traffic for 2 seconds, you give me a ticket. Like, I don't know what's preventing you from taking these drones down. Unless, of course, the drones are yours. I don't know, just a thought. You know what?
Yeah, the drones are theirs. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. And yeah, Mama Mac, NASA completely humiliated by SpaceX. Clearly, they're just a front for the real space program where the action is the anti-gravity. They stopped working on rockets because that shit is obsolete. And Elon Musk just didn't have the clearance to know that. So he's wasting time with rockets, wasting time with batteries in his Tesla cars, which hopefully can all be retrofitted with 0-point energy modules as soon as this stuff is released. That's going to be good. That's going to be good. We will no longer need centralized energy production from major corporations, providing power to the people. Decentralizing the resource base, that's what we need. Let's check in with MJ Truth Ultra at MJ Truth Ultra on X next. Who saw this coming? Joe Biden calls for gun control after the Wisconsin school shooting. We didn't cover that. 17-year-old lady boy transformer creature thing went around and shot a bunch of people. Quote, Congress must pass common sense gun safety laws, universal background checks, a national red flag law, a ban on assault weapons and high capacity magazines. No, fuck you. Yeah, and MJ Truth Ultra has the right response here. No. We need a ban on MK Ultra, targeting LGBTQ individuals in a national effort to address the mental health crisis. Yeah. Stop giving kids psychotropic medications like antidepressants and shit like that. Holy fuck, man. They really, really fuck you up and make all this type of thing possible. You name it. From Harris and Kleinbold. And I think that Harris and Kleinbold at Columbine were a particular inspiration for this young lady who committed this latest atrocity. I saw her wearing a shirt that had KMFDM, the band that Harris and Kleinbold were really into. Like she was wearing a KMFDM shirt, I guess, in the picture that I saw the other day. I was like, oh, so she's a Columbine fan. Crazy. Yeah. Trans people, gender in disguise. Good one, Jay Monty. Nice. All right, let's terminate the YouTube broadcast. She was not a transgender. Interesting. I heard there was back and forth. You know, one like representative in the state referred to her as he, her, she, them. Like they weren't sure. So okay, Donna's saying there was not a transformer. Good to know. Good to know. Mama Mac, people in my town still remember going to school with gunses for hunting after school on the way home, the way it should be. That's right, Mama Mac. More guns in the hands of innocent people act as a deterrent for those who would commit crimes with them. You're less likely to fuck around if you know that you're more likely to find out. And if you know that anybody around you could be packing heat, you're going to be less likely to pack your own, at least to pull your own, I should say. Indel, nope, she was a regular girl. Thanks for the updates and the corrections, guys. Appreciate that. She was on antidepressants and wrote an 8-page manifesto saying her parents and everyone else hated her. There you go, antidepressants. They mess you up, man. They mess you up, especially when you're a teenager and you're going through all kinds of crazy hormonal changes and stuff. Drugs don't solve these problems. You need to self-actualize. You need to find the root of the problem psychologically and address it directly. That's right, Mama Mac. I think the antidepressants are a big cause of the insanity. I was never like depressed, but they prescribed bullshit for me that fucked me all up back in the day too. So I was probably temporarily insane for part of high school, I would say, until I got off of that. Like, for instance, I had insomnia issues, and they gave me an antipsychotic medication called Seroquel. And I was on it for years. And if I didn't take it, I couldn't sleep, period. And so I had to trick my brain into beginning to produce melatonin again by taking melatonin supplements and then weaning off of those. But it's messed up, man. It's messed up. Depression has not been proven to be a serotonin issue, and no one is tested for it. What a scam. Sounds about right, Mama Mac. All right, we're going to terminate the YouTube feed. Just posted the link over on YouTube. So if you happen to be watching us over there, which very few people ever do, because we are completely suppressed and trashed by the YouTube algorithm, come join us on Rumble, where we can speak freely and where the water is warm. Sorry to have to ditch you, but you can click that link and come join us. You don't even need to form an account, but make sure to do so and smash that follow and like button while you do. Omega Directive saying Seroquel, no joke. Used to have to take it too for sleep. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And I was like a teenager, and it made me insane. It made me completely insane. So I have a personal beef against these psychotropic medications that they're giving teenagers, because I've been there. And thankfully, I didn't do anything super crazy. But damn. All right, guys, we're terminating the YouTube feed. Come join us on Alt Tech, Rumble, and Exclusive. Catch you guys on the other side. If you can't make it, we'll see you tomorrow for more Common Censored. Until then, let's get ready to rumble.